Well, this week's guest, I'm always excited, but particularly about this week's guest because when I saw her book, when I saw the title of her book, I said I have got to have her here. We are going to be talking about decluttering because this is a new year and I know some of you have made those resolutions, those goals to get rid of the physical and the mental clutter out of your life. So you need to stay tuned for this episode. Not only that, you need to tell a friend to watch this week's episode of Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. I have been waiting to have this conversation with Kate Evans because, she is like soulful, her soulful decluttering, but she's a coach. She helps people just let go of stuff physically and mentally, but most of all, she wrote a book. And when I saw the book, I was like, oh, I have got to have Kate here. So, Kate, show him the book. Show him the book because when I saw the book cover and I said, and I was just like, it is what we've all been really kind of thinking, but we didn't want to just put it in words. So, Kate, thank you so much for joining us today. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to get into this conversation.
Well, thank you so much, Janet. I really appreciate. I love coming and talking to you, and I love my book too. Ditch Your Sht. This
That's right.
is
That's right.
this is what y'all gotta do. This is what we all have to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the moment came when I was with a client doing a consultation. She had stuff upstairs, downstairs. Then she said, oh, Janet, we got to go to the garage. I'm like, okay, here. And then she said, oh, I got a storage unit. And I was like, and also because the person is at a point in life where she's got grandchildren, she's older. You don't need all that stuff. But what made you come up with the bold title, but also write the book? Kate, let's start there.
So the book, it was interesting. My best friend since seventh grade is a writing coach, and she came to me 5 years ago and said, "Do you want to write a book?" And I said, "Yes, I do want to write a book." She said, "No, seriously, do you want to write a book?" I said, "No, seriously, I do want to write a book." And and I immediately knew that I wanted to write this book because I had actually just started the decluttering coaching business. I had been a therapist. I had had my
Mhm.
therapy practice for a couple of decades already at that point, but I had started the coaching practice for decluttering. And I just immediately knew, yes, I want to write a book to talk to people about the mental and emotional experience of clutter, why we get clutter, why we struggle to declutter, why we
Mhm.
struggle to get rid of it, and then how we can move through all of that emotion and get to the point of getting rid of it. I wanted to write that book, and
Mm.
so the title was it was really Amy, my friend, and my
Mhm.
coach, pushing
Mhm.
me to stop being a stick in the mud and writing really fancy titles for a book and just talking like myself because this book sounds like me talking. And so the way I talk is something like, girl, you got to ditch your shit.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that is
Mhm.
how the title of the book came about, was just,
Mhm.
that's it. That's what the title is. And it is it's so interesting because to me that was just a throwaway phrase, but everyone who sees the title loves it, and everyone's like, "Oh, I love that title. That's it. That's what
Mhm.
I got to do."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, because when I saw it, it was like this is something that sometimes people need that. We always try to give people a gentle nudge when we're working with clients, but sometimes it's
Mhm.
like you just got to like, look, it's time. It is time. You've lived with this stuff for 10, 20, 30 years. You're going through all this emotional and you're overwhelmed emotionally, mentally, physically. Let's get rid of it. So my first
Yeah.
question is, you say decluttering really starts in the mind. But
Mhm.
can you share a mindset shift that often sparks the biggest transformation? Like, is there one that you can give us an example?
Well, one that comes to mind to me is when people come to understand that what they're doing in decluttering, they're doing this for themselves. They're not doing it
Mhm.
because their mother told them that they should, or their brother told them that they should, or their kids told them that they should, or their partner told them that they should, or anything like that. They are doing this because this is going to make them feel good. This is because they are moving this stuff along because it is going to relieve something for them.
Mm.
When you're doing things because someone else's motivation is supposed to motivate you, it doesn't really work. But when I work with clients and they get to that place where the thing is really about them,
Mhm.
and they get that feeling of, ooh, this feels good to me. I want to do more of this because it feels good to me. That shift, I find, really gets the motivation going and gets the progress going and gets the oomph and gets the rock rolling down the hill.
Mhm. And you're right about that because I remember I worked with a client. She had all these little post-its on her beautiful countertop. And we just went through and she was like amazed because most of those little post-its could have been tossed and they weren't. And it was just like she's like, well, we're really moving through it. I said, because you already finished whatever it is that you wanted to do, but then you just kept seeing it pile up. You got overwhelmed. And like you said, she saw it, she felt it. So you're right. When they really feel it personally, it's a lot easier to get rid of the stuff. So
Yeah.
is there a role that self-talk and possibly personal beliefs play in sometimes when we hold on to stuff? Uh,
Most definitely. I talk about this in my book about
mhm,
limiting beliefs,
mhm, mhm, mhm,
because we get these ideas in our heads. Like, one that I talk about is a belief that I had about myself. I believed that I was a slob.
mhm,
That was truly, and I didn't even understand that that was a belief that I had that was holding me back until after I had decluttered my own home, and I looked back at it, and I kind of understood that. But we will have these beliefs about ourselves, like, I'm a slob. And I talk to a lot of clients who say, well, that's just the way I am. I've just always been messy. Something along those lines, just ever since I was a kid. Yeah, me too. My room was always messy. When I was in college and when I first moved in with my husband, and he was like, could we not leave plates in the living room? I was a slob. However, me, the human being, I was not a slob. I could learn something different if I wanted to do something different. And I did want to do something different. So when you come into contact with your own personal beliefs and
mhm,
decide you're going to change that doesn't define you. You have the opportunity to shift something, to have something be different, and to open up this whole new world for yourself. I don't leave dishes in the sink. Actually, just before
mhm,
we got on to record this, I was switching over the dishwasher, and because that's just, it was sitting there. I was like, this needs to get taken care of. 8 years ago, that would not have even occurred to me.
mm. So, Kate, and what you do, the work that you do, how do you help people when they really, like an object becomes part of their self-worth? And they're like, I can't let go of that because, and I remember I was sharing with a woman, she had all these suits she wasn't wearing. I said, hey, donate them. There's lots of organizations where women can actually use this. And she was like, yeah, but I don't know because then they might be sitting on the grass and in the suit. I says, but once you let it go, it's no longer yours. So it's interesting that whole mindset thing and how it stops us from just allowing ourselves to give something away to someone.
Wow, that's really interesting, that story about the woman with the suits. I would be so curious to chat with her about those. Because the first thing that, like, I always want to hear the story. I want to hear the story of wearing the suits, and what was, what's the experience of it? Because that's always, I find that in our work, that's a lot of what we're doing is we're hearing the stories that people have around these items, these the clothes, the knick-knack, the book, the whatever the thing is. And so I want to sit and listen to the story. So tell me the story about this, and talk to me about how this is being honored now by sitting here in this closet, or being packed away in this box. And talk to me about how this fits with the life that you have right now. Talk with you. It's a lot of talking through this. Talk this through with me about who you are today, and so how is this enhancing your life? And so you don't want to let this go, and you don't want somebody else to misuse this item. All right, so you're still holding on to this because it represents something to you. What does it represent to you? Okay, let's talk through what this represents. What is the symbolism? Human beings are huge on symbolism. Everything is a symbol to us. It is, I mean, this is something dating back to when we were tribal human beings and we were dancing around fires. This is what we think we're so, technologically advanced and everything. We are just human beings, and we love our symbols. And so let's talk to me about the symbolism. Talk to me about what it is. And so talk. And through all that talking, there are these little threads that we're pulling at. And then if in the end the person is still not ready, all right, we're going to pack this away. But then we're going to come back to it in like 3 months. We're going to have another conversation about it. So you can sit and you can process about it. And then you can talk to me about it again at another time. Or you can talk with yourself about it. Or maybe we're going to write down a handful of questions you're going to ask yourself about this in 3 months. Something along those lines.
I liked it. I liked it because, like you said, when you were saying that, I was thinking about a client who was a former principal. So therefore, she had a different attire, but now she's retired now. And I'm like, you know what? We can let go of the suits, the long coats, and all of this other kind of stuff. And you have beautiful clothes in your closet. So think about that. So my next question is, how can a midlife woman benefit from adopting a declutter mindset? And Kate, this is like a sidebar. When I was getting ready for this, I thought about two instances where people in my life had ordered something from me from Amazon. One
Mhm,
was a guy that I had been dating for about 5 years. Another one was my cousin.
mhm.
Both of them passed away before they even gave me the stuff. And I was thinking, how do we accumulate just so much stuff? Because then his family and her husband and his family had to go through all of those boxes.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do we get to that space? But specifically as midlife women, because we've lived life. So, of course, through all of those age phases and careers, we've accumulated so much stuff. So, how do we begin to have that decluttering mindset?
When we get to this point of midlife, I'm in my 50s, and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's this is this beautiful time to sit back and to think about it a little bit, and to maybe reset, and to say, to ask yourself who you are, because we are so much more wise at this point, and we've got, hopefully, decades more time to become even more wise. But to drag along with us years of material items that are connected to other things that don't really have anything to do with who we are today doesn't make a ton of sense. Now, a few curated items, absolutely, most definitely. But in this really beautiful time of life when we're kind of looking forward toward a time of future retirement potentially, and looking back and looking at all these, kind of, I'm sorry, but in my case at least, I'm looking back at some really silly, foolish times that I had.
Don't get started, Kate. Don't start.
I mean, and some really beautiful times, and
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
times like, I still have the shirts that my husband and I were wearing the night that we met.
Oh,
Right. Like,
yeah. I can understand.
you're going to have some things, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that we can release
Mm-hmm.
to clear space physically and energetically for us to
Mm-hmm.
move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because, look, guys, if you're younger than 50,
Yeah,
then look forward to this decade because it's fantastic.
it is. Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you're around this age, I love it. I hope you're loving it. And give
Mm-hmm.
yourself permission to release some of that stuff so that you can move forward. And if you're beyond this decade, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. 60's real good too. Can't wait
Yeah.
till you.
I love it. I love it. Each decade, I welcome them.
Oh yeah, each decade gets so much better. So so
Hmm.
so much better. And as you were talking, I was thinking about when I was working in corporate. People would give you, they would celebrate your birthday, so they would give you all these cards. And at one point, I was like, why am I keeping all these cards? I don't
Mm,
see those people anymore, so I might as well get rid of. I appreciate them when they gave them to me, but
mhm.
now it's time to let them go.
Sure.
So, Kate, what is one practical strategy from your books that you can possibly leave with us listeners and those watching that we can maybe we can try in the next week? Of course, first, all of you really should get the book. I mean, that was like an eye opener. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. You need to get the book, probably get two, because then you're going to want to give one to your friend. Because once you start reading it, you're definitely going to want to have one. So,
And I can
one,
tell you that is something that a number of people have told me is that they've gotten one for themselves and they have gotten one for a friend.
you got to.
So, what I'm going to say here, it's from the chapter let's declutter some shit, which
Mm-hmm.
is the opening chapter to the second half of the book,
Okay.
which is
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's the biggie. That's the biggie.
so the first half of the book is about all the mental and emotional stuff. The second half
Mm-hmm.
of the book is applying all the mental and emotional stuff
Mm-hmm.
to the,
Mm-hmm.
like, practicalities. So
Mm-hmm.
what I've got little success strategies throughout the book, and so here's one: is so when you have been decluttering,
Mm-hmm.
put things back in their homes in stages. Put the most important stuff back first, step back and take a look at it. Then the next group, step back, next, step back. When the space is 80% full, stop.
Mm. Oh, that's a good strategy. That's a
Yeah.
good strategy because we stuff. We're stuffers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when we get more stuff, then that stuff is on the side somewhere. I love that. I love that. I hope you all listened and those you watching, listening, take that strip. Oh my goodness, that is an eye opener. Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because we are stuffers. I mean, let's admit it, people. We stuff.
Yes. And I used to do that. My bookcase was just, it was it was like Tetris. You remember that game? And now my bookcase is, I don't even think it's 80% full. I'm going to say we're at maybe 60% full here. And it's
Mm-hmm.
lovely because I've got, some books, and then like a candle, and like a watering can because I've got a bunch of plants in here and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And
Mm-hmm.
it just feels lovely and open and just delightful. And it feels like something I want to have
Mm-hmm.
in here. And it really is curated and intentional. That's the word, intentional. So 80%.
I love it. I love it. Well,
Mhm.
Kate, I could talk to you all time. We might have to make like a little coffee tea virtual date one of these days.
I'm all for it.
So how can people connect with you? Get a copy of your book.
So you can find me on my website at soulfulspacecoaching.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at katesevans.coaching. You can find Ditch Your Sht, decluttering your mindset to declutter your home, pretty much anywhere that books are sold. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Bookshop, Walmart. I mean, you want a book, you're going to find Ditch. So go and buy it. And I'm just going to say, when you buy it and then you read it, please leave it a review and at least some stars.
And of course, those watching as well as those listening, I am going to have direct links so you can connect with Kate directly, but also purchase her book directly. And like I said, buy two. Buy two, one for you, one for your friend. And that'll be kind of like your own little personal book club, but also decluttering club. And then, of course, you can connect with Kate and let her know one, leave a review about the book, but also let her know, hey, this is what me and my friend did. So we want to connect with you to take this a little further. So,
I
Kate,
love
thank you
that.
so much. Thank you so much for joining me. I love this conversation, and I will definitely make a tea, coffee, virtual date with you sometime in the future.
Wonderful.
So, have you ordered your book yet? The all the links to order your book from Kate and also connect with her are below. But was that a fabulous conversation? And also, did you hear what she said? When we organize, once something gets to 80%, we need to step back and stop because we all get into that same routine and habit where we keep shoving stuff in. And as I shared, when we get new stuff, it's just put to the side. So take that strategy moving forward, order her book, connect with Kate. So, of course, I hope you are already subscribing to this YouTube channel. And if not, please do so with the link. And also, make sure you listen to the full audio version of this podcast for more resources. So, of course, those of you who are watching this video, please check that link out. And for those of you who are listening to the audio version, please continue. But of course, I always like to end this portion of it. So make sure you have a clutter free day.